We may not do OSPF today, but we'll do other things which are related with important things which are related with F modules. Because in this particular rack, this is my US rack. Okay, I have F132XP module. Okay, there are some M modules also there. This is a new module. We have already seen M132XP, right? We have already seen M148GT. This is a new module for us. Let us check what are the interface capabilities of it. Because when F boots up, you know it boots up as what? A access port, right? So currently if I do show interface brief, the F module is in which slot of the chassis? 3. So if I see the 3 slot of the chassis, they are all what ports? Access, right? And if you see for the other slot of the chassis, which is 4 slot, which is what port? Routed, because these are M modules, right? But by default all of them start with administratively down state, right? In Nexus you do have a command system default switch port shutdown. What does this command mean? All the access ports are by default shut down. Routed ports are by default shut down, but by default in normal switches all the access ports are up, right? If you have worked with 3550, 3560, all the ports will be up. But in Nexus they are by default shut down. So if you want to turn on all the ports up, you just give in front of this no system default switch port shutdown, right? And do show interface brief. Now they are not administratively down, right? They are up, some of them are up. So the command to make the access port, it will not be applicable for which ports? Routed ports. This will applicable only for access ports. I give in front no system default switch port shutdown. This is to do so that I see my show CDP neighbor and check my cross connections, right? Now the next thing that I'll also check is show interface Ethernet 3/1 capabilities and check what are the port groupings, right? So here the port grouping is 1 and 2. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 would be a port grouping. So in case you allocate interface 1, 2 will go along with it. And I actually have made already the cross connections there. So these are the cross connections that are there in that particular rack 4. This is in US. Okay. So in my rack 4, I have this module is F1, right? Another this module, which is 4/. If you do show module, that I think is M132. That's M148 GT. So this is M1 module that is having 48 ports. We don't have much cross connections, but F are more cross connections because this lab we generally made it for doing things like fabric path and all. Okay, because we can do fabric path with what modules only? F. So in this particular case, I want to show you the troubleshooting when it lies on doing some SVIs on a F module. Okay, so let us make a small topology to do that troubleshooting. So say we'll make a VDC here. Say I'll make just a simple topology to just do troubleshooting on it. Okay, so this is VDC1, right? And say this is my VDC2. Okay, and in order to do the allocation, I will do the allocation from one of the interface here, right? So 3/1 going to 3/21. I could have seen this again the same way, show CDP neighbors, right? So since the interfaces are up, currently if I do show CDP neighbors, I should see that connection. So 3/1 goes to whom? 3/21 and so on, like this itself, right? So if I say had 3/1 here allocating and 3/21 I'm allocating here. Remember what am I allocating right now? What ports are they? F ports, F module ports, right? So if I go right now and say I'll give the switch name as VDC1 for him, and I'll create another VDC because I know VDC1, if I do show VDC membership, all the interface must be allocated to him itself, right now. So there is no need to allocate to him, but I need to allocate to whom? VDC. I'll create another VDC2. So if that's the case, I need to give license grace period. And this command is applicable only in default VDC, okay? Since we are running in grace period itself. So we'll create VDC2 and then allocate one of the interface to it. So it can be allocated only when the VDC becomes active. So it's in creation, in process. So we cannot go to that VDC right now. Okay, it is being created. So once it's in active state, that's only we can go to that VDC. So we need to wait for some time. It takes around 20 to 30 seconds. So once it's active, then I'll go to VDC2 and allocate interface Ethernet 3/21. Now when I allocate 3/21, the missing ports will be included automatically, means 21 and 22. Right? So currently if I do show VDC membership, 21 and 22 are allocated to that VDC2 automatically, right? Now I say had VLAN 10. Okay, VLAN 10 I want to make a SVI for VLAN 10, right? How do I make it? Feature interface VLAN, right? Interface VLAN 10. Give it a IP address, say 10.1.1.1/24. No shot. Now one question to you all, will this SVI come up? Will this SVI come up? In VDC1. In VDC1 it only has M module, right? M module is already there. It will do proxy routing, right? So will it come up? It is administratively up, but all the protocol is down. It is not up, right? Why it's not up? Because spanning tree is the one which dictates the SVI will come up or not. So if I check show spanning tree for VLAN 10, there is no interface allocated to VLAN 10. So will a SVI come up? There must be an interface which is allocated to VLAN 10, then only your SVI comes up, right? And that has to be treated by spanning tree in which state? Forwarding state, then only it will come up. That is the first troubleshooting, right? So interface has to have that VLAN, and the VLAN must be treated in which state? Forwarding state, then only your SVI comes up. So which interface should I at least make in 3/1? At least let it carry VLAN 10, or make it a trunk. Trunk automatically carries all the VLANs, or make it an access port, but access VLAN 10. Then only your SVI comes up. So there are two options here. Either you make it a trunk port and allow VLAN 10 on it, or either you make it an access port as access VLAN 10 itself. Then your SVI comes up, right? So since it's a two switch connection, normally we'll have what ports? Trunk ports. So if I go to interface Ethernet 3/1, I give the command switch port modus trunk, right? No shot. So if I do show spanning tree for VLAN 10, it still is not coming up. Why? Interface is down. When I allocate an interface to another VDC, what happens? All the configuration of that interface is removed. Although I made the interface up by giving the command no system default switch port shut down, but when I move to another VDC, that configuration is removed. So when we go to another VDC, switch to VDC2, and do here show interface brief, you will see that that interface is down, right? So it will not come up. Other side will not come up if it's down. So here also Ethernet 3/21. What will I make here also? Switch port mode trunk. Can I give no switch port command? Not allowed in F1 module. F1 may be allowed in F2 and F2, right? So this is not allowed here. But what we can do only commands of switch ports. So switch port mode is what? Trunk, and I have to give no shut. When I give no shut, That's when I go switch back and do show interface brief, that Ethernet 3/1 should come up, right? And show spanning tree for VLAN 10 should consider the VLAN 10 in which state? Forwarding state. Then, so it is going through what states? Listening, learning, and only when that is in forwarding state, show IP interface brief right now shows you still what? Down. Spanning tree has to consider it which state? Forwarding state for it to come up. So when it's forwarding, then I check show IP interface brief, then only it will come up, right? That is the very important troubleshooting here. So for SVI to come up, you must have one interface, either it's access or a trunk port carrying that VLAN, and spanning tree should consider it forwarding, right? Now, if I do the same on VDC2, so let me give no VDC combine host name because I don't want to see the names as combined. I'll go again, switch to my VDC2. Here also I'll make what? Say VLAN 10. Here also I'll create a SVI. So I'll give the command feature interface VLAN. Here also I'll make interface VLAN 10 and give it a IP address. Right? Now here I already have a trunk interface that is carrying that VLAN 10. Right? So spanning tree for VLAN 10. It's already in which state? Forwarding state. Right? Show IP interface brief. Though still showing me down. Right? Should have come up. But what is the problem? This is a different problem now. This particular VDC has what module only? F module. F module, if it is there and you try to create a SVI, it will never come up. We have to have a M module also allocated, one interface allocated to that VDC for this SVI to come up. Because as I told, F1 cannot do routing on its own. It has to have a M module which will do routing for it, a proxy routing for it. So what should I do then in order to bring this SVI up then? Switch back, go to VDC1 and see show module. You check any module you take, right? It should be what module though? M. So you can take an interface from here also, interface from here also, interface from here also, anyone. Let us take an interface from here, right? What is the port grouping for this? Just no port groupings are there for 48, right? For 32 we have the port groupings of 4 in odd and even, right? This has no port groupings. So if it has no port groupings, I don't have a problem in assigning it. So I go to VDC, which VDC? VDC2, I allocate which interface? Ethernet, any one of that, 4/1. You just need to allocate it. That interface may not be up. Why? Because proxy routing doesn't happen through outside interface, right? Proxy routing happens in the backplane, right? Through the fabric, inside the chassis. So this interface may not be up. It's not required that this interface is up. So I allocate the interface to it. Which VDC did I allocate? M module interface I allocate to VDC2. Let us go to now VDC2 and let us check show interface brief. So that should have my M module. It is down, doesn't matter because it's not required to be up to do forwarding. It's required to be up to do forwarding outside. It's not required to be up to do forwarding inside. Right? We are doing forwarding what? In the back plane. Proxy routing happens in the back plane. So if I now do show IP interface brief, is when your SVI comes up after you allocate any interface of M module. So this is a very important troubleshooting for your exam point of view.
So on the other interface for M module, you don't need to do anything.
No, because it already was up, right? VDC1, it already had M module. It already has a M module. All the interfaces are allocated to it, right? / is there.
So you after getting that new VDC,
Uh-huh.
you don't need to do anything.
No need of doing it. You can use the interface for doing any other connections, but you just need it for doing proxy routing for F. Right?
Another question is like, what if you are in the default VDC?
Any default?
Default VDC.
Uh-huh.
And you are doing all of this stuff. So does default VDC choose automatically or accessing or routing stuff or how you need to organize that in
F, it depends upon the module types, right? F means access, M means routed.
let's say the VLAN.
Ah.
The VLAN.
Ah.
But the VLAN is automatically up.
VLAN is automatically up.
Yes. So that's the default VDC. Detect automatically model or I need
the VLAN depends. Like if the VLAN when I create a VLAN, in which VDC I created that. Now, if it's VDC1, then all the modules are by default in VDC1, right? All the modules are by default a part of VDC1. So that VLAN will be present in all the modules then. But in case you had a port of that module in another VDC, the whole module was on another VDC, say, then that VLAN will not be present on that module. It depends where you are, in which VDC you are in. Because my tables are updated as I show in the VDC slide, right? We had seen that once. A MAC address A was learned by not all modules. It depends that module contains that VDC or not. So it depends again. Okay. Always Cisco answer is it depends. Any Cisco question you ask, it depends, because there are not one way of doing it. There are several ways of doing it.
For instance, I was in VDC2 and I was associated with the F1 model. But after creating VLAN, it didn't respond to do routing whatever until I expected the from
M module, yes.
M model.
Yeah.
So my question is, when I'm in VDC1, I assume that I don't know there is the M2.
You don't know. You don't have M2.
Yeah. I assume there is no M.
There is no M. There is only F.
And there is no M, only F.
There is no chance that your SVI will come up then. You have to have a M module for your SVI to come up, but it's not required if you are using F2, F2E, F3 line cards. You don't require it. It's only a requirement for F1, okay? And this is the reason why it's end of sale. It's no more sold by Cisco. But still we have to do it because we are poor guys, right?
But as you know that postless line is admin downstairs, right?
Yeah.
But how can you do this forwarding the traffic?
It's not forwarding the traffic outside. It's forwarding the traffic inside. Yes.
So, let's say if I have to in that module, they will communicate in between.
Internally, yes. Internally. Not outside. Do you understand this, guys? Very important to understand this, okay? Then later, so Monday we'll do OSPF and all those things. This is the most important thing.